you know, I don't even know what to say about the Warriors trade. I mean, they bring back Gary Payton II. You could have signed him. You could have given him, I don't know, 8 years or 8 million a year for 3 years, given him $24 million, but you were too smart for that. Decided that you didn't need him. So you let him walk. And now here you are giving away James Wiseman all for a bunch of picks and Kevin Knox, and then turning around, flipping those picks back to Portland for GP2. Did you get Sadiq Bey? No. You needed size. You needed shooting. Did you get size? No. Did you get shooting? No. So what did you get? You got a lot of savings probably for Joe Lacob. And you get GP2 back. So, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, many of us said how ridiculously stupid it was for Golden State to Steve Kerr never appreciated Gary Payton II. Just didn't. There were so many games last year we sat Gary Payton II, didn't play him, and the Warriors lost most of those games. And then they didn't appreciate him in free agency, and they drew the line right there at GP2. We don't need you, GP2. Even though he wasn't like he got some king's ransom to go to Portland. He got $8 million a year. I mean, you couldn't pay $8 million a year for Gary Payton, so you let him walk. And shocking, you're shitty on defense now. Who knew that getting rid of your best defensive player would hurt your defense? So now you've been this circus defensively. All the while you invested James Wiseman. Did you ever play him? No. Did Steve Kerr ever put him on the floor? No. So now he's going to go to Detroit and blossom there, and he's going to be a much better player for the Pistons than what you got. You sold low, and so now you turn it around and you've got GP2. You still didn't add any shooting. You still didn't really add any size. Kevin Knox is just a guy. Come on. Kevin Knox is a nothing. So, I mean, I can't sit here and say Bob Myers is smart. I mean, the Warriors are a team that have a bunch of different agendas, and they got too many cooks in the kitchen. And Joe wants to be involved. He's got his own draft board, except he's not a personnel evaluator, and neither's this kid. Just because you played hoop on some level, so what? I fucking played hoop on some level. I'm not a general manager either. So but now you got Kirk there, and Joe's got his kids there, and Myers is probably tucking tail and walking at the end of the year, and Kerr probably follows him out the door. And, Joe Lacob can surround himself with his family, and we'll see how many rings and how many parades he's in. So I don't know. As you can tell, totally unimpressed by Golden State. You flipped James. You didn't play James Wiseman. Who knows if he's good? I guess the Pistons will find out. You just basically just said, we're getting off the Wiseman truck. And there's probably some savings in there as well, because it came out, hey, if Joe Lacob's going to pay a big tax bill, and now he moves Wiseman, he probably, lessens his tax bill. But the Warriors are no more title contender today than they were last night when KD went to the Suns. They're not the best team in the West. They're not the second best team in the West. You can make an argument they're not the third best team in the West. Odds of them, defending their title are pretty low. So not impressed at all. They couldn't get it straight. They couldn't figure out a way to get James Wiseman on the floor. And then they turn around, trade James Wiseman for Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey absolutely could have helped them. But no, instead send Sadiq Bey to the Hawks for 5 second-round picks. I mean, what a cluster that is. I mean, I'd rather have Sadiq Bey than 5 second-round picks. And then you flip those picks for GP2. So what have you done? You divested yourself of James Wiseman without finding out if he's any good or not. You drafted him, and the way you handled him devalued him. And then you handed him away for a reserve defensive player who's had a ton of injuries this year. I mean, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. So he's not part of Steve Kerr's rotation. Why? What? Because the Warriors don't need him. Yeah, they got destroyed inside by the Blazers in the game the other night or last night. He played in just 21 of 55 games this year. And the super rah-rah Warrior person is like, hey, they traded a player that's not in their rotation for a player that is in their rotation. Yeah, but that's loser talk because you made James Wiseman not in the rotation. You're the one who decided not to play him. You're the one who drafted him second overall and then plummeted his value by not playing him. You're the one that didn't have a game plan to bring him along. You're the one who sat there and couldn't get him to progress from point A to point B. And then you just jump off, and now the Pistons are probably going to get the upside potential. So, I mean, James Wiseman didn't look like much to me. I think he's kind of a marshmallow at the end of the day, but still, how to turn a valuable asset, how to devalue an asset. I mean, my goodness, the Warriors should write a book about that now because that's what they did here. They drafted this guy. They totally devalued the asset by how they did not develop him. And then they just gave up, and moved on, probably to save Joe some tax burden. I mean, congrats. I don't know what to say about it. As the Suns get Kevin Durant and, now they're the favorite to win the West. And what do you got? You got GP2, is a great defensive player. He's a great role player. It should help your defense, and your defense needs help. But is that going to win you a title? Are you going to win a title now that you have GP2? I mean, it's just so they didn't get, Sadiq Bey at least is a young starting player. Sadiq Bey would have been a really nice get. To then turn Sadiq Bey around. I mean, I thought you needed size and shooting. Sadiq Bey is 6'8" and can shoot. Instead, you trade him for 5'2s and then turn around and trade those 5'2s to Portland for GP2. So essentially, you traded James Wiseman for Gary Payton II. And it's so low end. It's so, it's like there's almost no way for Golden State to win on this trade unless they win the title this year. They don't win the title this year. How's this a good trade? Why is this a good move next year and the year after? I mean, obviously the Warriors lost confidence in Wiseman, but Delos Milicevic, what the heck's he doing? I mean, he ought to be canned. I mean, seriously, you brought in this coach to develop this guy as a developmental coach. He didn't develop. So Delos, what would you say you do here? I mean, what exactly are they getting for the money they're paying Delos? I don't think anything. So now you got rid of Wiseman. You have Payton. Wiseman wasn't doing anything. Since December 30th, he'd played in only 2 of the Warriors' 19 games. And now he gets the chance to play on a young upstart rebuilding team that has Cade Cunningham and some young pieces. They got the worst record in the Eastern Conference, so they can just sit there and play him and not worry about it. But as far as what this does for the Warriors, I don't think it does anything for the Warriors. I'm going to put the call deal, the call link in the chat here. So if people want to jump in via the call, feel free to jump in. I'm going to read some of these chats, but I mean, how is this a good day for the Warriors? You gave up on you took James Wiseman over Tyrese Halliburton and over LaMelo Ball and couldn't develop him at all. Kerr never played him at all. They didn't give him any confidence. They brought in developmental coaches. Those guys couldn't do it jack. And now you're divesting yourself of the asset at a major loss, at a major price loss. I mean, that, and you get Kevin Knox and GP2. Really? I mean, how do you expect your fans to react to that? It's not a good day, not a good couple days for the Warriors. I think last night their title chances probably went out the window. And today they decided, well, we can't win in the present, so let's guarantee that we can't win in the future by trading our one upside 7-footer for a defensive role player whose body is beginning to fail him. I mean, who we all like, but come on, at the end of the day, what's GP2?